to his current role as Chief Evangelist of Webflow, was co-founder and CEO of Intellimise. And for those that are familiar with the tool sets of conversion rate optimization, that was in fact the tool that Webflow purchased after doing a huge selection process as the technology they wanted to move forward with. So I gotta let Guy take over the microphone and speak about his perspective in industry. After that, we're gonna do some Q&A, and then we'll continue to do some networking and make-believe. So without further ado.
Thanks, Ted.
Thank
you. We got them both. Hey all, thanks for coming out today. As Ted said, my name's Yalif. I made the oh-so-typical journey from AI coding aerospace engineer to CMO, as one does, and have been in ad tech, martech for like 25 years. I've got some stuff to cover. Covering the slides isn't the thing, like having the conversation's the thing, so please jump in, interrupt. A fair bit on AEO, because we're all exploring and learning that together, and then a bunch on conversion rate optimization. One bit on Webflow. This conversation's not a pitch at all, but just to set context, Webflow is an enterprise website builder that makes it easy for marketers, designers, developers to build, manage, and optimize websites that are like visually stunning, emotionally evocative, storytelling brand builders, and drive revenue through testing, personalization, optimization. That was the company I had the privilege of co-founding and CEOing. Coding optional. Your engineers can get in, or us non-coding mere mortal marketers can go run to our heart's content. So how many people in this room are seeing their traffic go down right now? Show of hands. A lot less than I would have thought. So maybe quarter of the room, third of the room raised their hands. In most other rooms that I'm in, I have the privilege of talking to hundreds of CMOs every quarter. Little detour. Chief Evangelist, it's the made-up title that's the answer to the question of, well, we acquired a company, we have a CEO, we have a CMO, what do we do with this guy? And so I'm out in the field all the time talking to CMOs. And in those conversations, pretty much everybody's saying traffic's going down some, not the like clickbaity 80, 90%, but 10, 20, 25%, totally realistic. People are experiencing that a lot. And there's a silver lining to it. So Google has for years been increasing the rate of searches that they answer on Google and not send to us, fine. The LLMs obviously are getting a lot of attention because they're useful, and they're sending us traffic, not much, but rapidly growing, and it's further down the funnel. So at Webflow last summer, I'll walk around, 8% of our self-serve signups came from LLM referred traffic. That bit of traffic converted 6 times, not 6%, 6 times better than our unbranded organic search, which I think is the fair comparison. And this is not abnormal. Ahrefs and SEMrush, two stalwarts in SEO measurement, found this to be 4x to 23x, and 100% of CMOs I talked to said some huge lift. Okay, so traffic's going down a bit. We got this segment of traffic that's more qualified further down the funnel. But this moment of AI marketing, I invite you to think about it as threat and opportunity to both parts of our jobs in building a business. We got to build a brand and drive revenue. This was the drive revenue. In building a brand, we are losing brand narrative control. In SEO, Google used our words. In AEO, as you know, the LLMs are reformulating our carefully differentiated, carefully crafted stories. Totally normal for an LLM to be like, oh, you are this set of features. When you're like, wait, but I've got this value prop. Or to like confidently just get it wrong or leave you out entirely. And so there's a different aspect to this that affects our businesses. And it is growing rapidly. This is Webflow.com data. If you look at the summer before last, July 24, and you look at just unbranded search in AEO and LLM referred traffic, the LLM in blue was basically nothing. You roll the clock forward to this summer, it was 42%. Not of our total traffic, but just of the unbranded. And it continues to rise a lot. So it's something we're all here because we're paying attention to. And I wanted to invite you to think about it as you manage your business, manage your teams, manage their projects in 4 categories that'll then turn to conversion rate optimization after that. The first is content, where At its core, and we'll go into each one of these, we're going to shift from being focused on keywords to focusing on answering questions to ensuring the answers are really personalized. I see some nodding. Yep. If the second is technical, where we're going to go from on-page SEO to the thing the LLMs value incrementally more than Google. I know Google has Gemini, but Google search is giving the LLMs a signal about, hey, here's the structure of my content, here's the meaning of my content, and then you want that to be on a super fast site. Then you've got authority, where we go from backlinks, they still matter, don't stop investing in them, but the LLMs, they're looking for consensus. They're looking for, hey, I read all this stuff out there. What does it say about you repeatedly, reliably? So the plain text mentions, they matter a lot more than they did before. And you want that pointing to really engaging sites because they can see what's engaging. And the last is measurement, where keyword ranking just doesn't exist. And so now you think about, did I show up? What was my share of voice? What was my message pull through? That's the high level, those 4 categories. And all of this is all of us learning together. This is, a space where there's a lot of pattern matching to be done to the early days of search 20 years ago, where now things are changing every month or two. In Google search, every change is a press release, is news, because it's a 20-year-old mature industry. This will settle down too. It's also a place where lots and lots of experimentation is needed. There's some that are saying, hey, good SEO has nothing to do with good AEO. SEO's dead, it's all AEO now. I heard, unsubstantiated, I hope it's not true, someone told me, hey, Fortune 500 CMO fired his or her SEO team saying we do AEO now. I could not disagree more. 180 degrees, black and white different. Your SEO team is your AEO team. Your SEO agency is your AEO agency. If you drew up an ideal AEO job spec, it'd be somebody who knows SEO, because good AEO is close to what good SEO always should have been. Genuinely valuable content that helps your prospects through the funnel, that gets rewarded. And we'll talk more about it. Let me pause for a beat. How's this for altitude pace? Is this useful? Cool. Cool. Please jump in if there are things that come to mind for you. We also face a big disconnect. We surveyed 400 marketers. 93% of the execs and 91% of the practitioners said AEO is going to be really important in my whole business over the next couple of years. But then you ask the practitioners, do you know what AEO is? And only a quarter were like, yeah, I really know what it is. Now, this was in September. I'm sure it's changed in the last few months, but there is so much opportunity to lead here. I invite you to think about AEO as it's early days in a new medium. It's not replacing another one. It's yet another channel for us to manage. All right, let's go into content. So in content, we have been saying, look, our topics are clusters of keywords. The next step with AEO is to say our topics are now questions. They're baskets of questions. And in some sense, you know these already because you know your prospect journey. But in another sense, it may be helpful to do things like run an LLM over all your gong calls, your sales recording calls, and see what questions keep coming up. Run an LLM over all your sales emails, or look in Google and look at where they've got people also asked. You'll see good ideas there. And then go answer. Go create more answer-oriented content. And over time, that'll become, as you get more involved in it, throughout the whole funnel, and then with great depth. Not depth just to be longer, but depth because you have more chance of the LLMs matching on the query someone asks. And people are asking longer ones. The average search query when we all learned to speak Google was 4 words long. In LLMs, it's 23 words and growing. And so it's not that the head went away, but the tail is getting longer. LLMs are sending traffic to 2.5x as many domains as search, so 1.5x more. And so there's real opportunity, especially for those locally focused, or for someone asking some detailed thing about your product that might come up in a sales call, that's getting rewarded incrementally more. And so the content machine is as voracious as ever. We tried this, and by we, I mean Vivian Huang, who leads our SEO AEO team. She tried, hey, let me try recasting some of our blog post titles as questions and that drove 13% more LLM source traffic in the handful, right? Not statistically significant, but she was like, I'm gonna keep doing this. This voracious content machine, it might be tempting to say, hey, I'm gonna just go blast out a ton of content with an LLM. Mercifully, it seems like we are gonna skip that stage of maturity because if you look at what Google AI Overview cites, 85% of it is either human generated or almost entirely human generated. And this sliver, which all of us would suffer with, is not doing particularly well. And even Google last week said, hey, you debate, some of you saying, I want to really write for the machine. I'm going to chunk up my content to optimize for the context window. And Denny Sullivan was like, don't do that. You write for humans. Like, if that works for you for a minute, it's not going to work for long. We're going to make it not work. Ultimately, you are trying to persuade a human and you want to pull your message through on the LLM, which is great. But it also means the content machine is super voracious and it wants to be fed a lot. 95% of ChatGPT citations were updated in the last 10 months. So we got to create original, valuable content and update it regularly. It's a lot to do there. We tried this, Vivian tried this, and the results actually were pretty great. She happened to use a tool called AirOps to 5x the speed of updating content. That content, over the course of a couple of months, got 42% more traffic. Amazing. The traffic converted better, 14% better. I mean, what's not to love? Like, you get more and it converts better? That usually doesn't go together. So content machine is as hungry as ever, and this really is your way to feed the LLMs. I've also heard people say, hey, wait a minute, the LLM traffic, it's further down the funnel. Your website's only bottom of the funnel now. Don't create top of funnel content anymore on your website. All right, I think, because you need to feed the LLM something. They need to read it from somewhere, and so there's still a need to write full funnel. How are we doing on time? Good? Yeah, okay. Any questions on content? Say that again? A million. Okay, we'll keep going and then we'll do the million because that'll be a lot of fun to do. Please, yes.
Is there a particular type of content that LLMs really gravitate to, really like?
I'll repeat the questions both in case you didn't hear and because there's a recording. Question was, is there a particular type of content that the LLMs really gravitates towards or like? Yes and no. Yes, they've got a good read on what's valuable because they got the longer queries. A couple of other reasons, by the way. They, like Google search, can tell I referred someone to the site. Did they bounce back immediately? They also created browsers that have the LLMs running in them, right? Chrome doesn't by default. Maybe one day it will. But like, they can see, did you go to a site and stay there? Okay, so they've got signals on what's valuable. They did say, I want, actually funny enough to this chart, more original human conversation. So you read about the deal that Reddit did with, I think, Google and OpenAI. You see people saying Reddit, YouTube, Quora, review sites, those are increased in importance. And I think the data shows that they are, but they aren't everything. And we can talk more about Reddit if that's interesting because it's its unique thing. So on the whole, valuable content. Secondarily, if it fits with your marketing strategy, places where people doing original human content. The easiest for many of us is YouTube because they'll crawl the transcript. Helpful? Cool, another question.
Do you think there'll ever be a situation where Google may put a cap on AI-generated content, like
May do what?
put a cap on the percentage?
There was a question of, will there ever be a world where Google puts a cap on the amount of AI-generated content? Do you mean like straight AI-generated? This? I think they will endeavor to have that never be a lot. Like, I think their goal will be to have that not because it's not as useful. You know what I mean? I am intellectually and practically as a professional curious, when this is better than this, what will we as humans decide? Right? I think we all, or almost all of us, have a strong bias for this. And I only know of one example so far where this was better. It's not actually in content and in marketing. One insurance company, I forget which one of the big ones, did AI only for support. literally no humans, it's insurance. Their job is to say no to you. The LLMs were more empathetic and listened better than the humans who eventually got frustrated. And so the humans on the other end who were being told no actually rated it higher than the humans at the company. I wonder if so I don't know, but I could imagine for now that this will stay low. Great question. All right, I'll go on to technical. Technical. We've all been doing a lot of on-page keyword SEO. It still matters. Where do the LLMs get their content from? They are searching almost every single query that you make. Okay. The LLMs, by the way, for those that were in SEO back when Google came around, like Google early days, they value, give me signals about structure of your page. Tell me about what you've built. And as you increase in maturity, they want more and more of it. How many people here have heard of Schema? A decent, great, awesome. So it's now widespread knowledge, I think early in adoption. For those that haven't, it's a standard for metadata you would put on a page. So metadata, right? Stuff the machine would see, the human would not. That a couple of startups, Google, Bing, Yandex, Yahoo, came up with 4 or 5 years ago. If you have a Google Knowledge Graph entry, you almost certainly have Schema on your site. And there are hundreds of them, right? You can use Schema to say, oh, here's an events page, here's a bio page, here's a product page, here's my company page. And layout to the LLM, here's what's on my site. It's a great way to signal. And you can begin signaling content just in the content of the page itself. Sorry, you can begin signaling structure just in the content of the page itself. So our team, they added, table of contents to blog posts right over here. 59% more traffic from the LLMs, 23% more traffic from Google SEO. So Vivian put that as a template on every page. Schema, and then the fundamentals of SEO are also valuable for the LLMs. So if you aren't, if you don't have the SEO metadata, which surprisingly a quarter of Google's top 10 search results still don't have, there's opportunity there. Don't forget the alt text for your images. That is something that is incredibly valuable. And then coming back to Schema, it is hard to overemphasize how valuable this is. It's hard to overstate how helpful this is for the LLMs because they are balancing as a business, how much money am I going to spend crawling and how valuable is this stuff? And so that's why, for example, when we were talking about YouTube a minute ago, they're not going to crawl the video. It's too costly for them. They're going to crawl the transcript. So by the way, if you have video on your site, put the transcript on the page, even if it's hidden or just in the metadata. But adding Schema, you see it lays out the content of the page. Incredibly valuable to do. And everyone I've talked to has seen great results. Here's one example of that. Vivian and team took our top 6 product pages and added FAQs to the bottom of them, repeating some of the same content. Added Schema to those FAQs. In 2 weeks, more than half of the citations we got as a business came from those 6 pages. We have thousands of pages in those 2 weeks, and those pages got 24% more traffic. That was bigger than even we thought it would be. And so we're doing this everywhere. Make sense? You're basically serving it up to them on a silver platter. I mentioned inviting you to think about this as early days in a new medium. Here's data on that. 73% of Google's top 10 search results have Schema in them. Okay, you would think everybody's doing it. 88% of sites don't have it today. 88% of sites do not have Schema on them. And if you do add structured data, tends to be 42% more traffic coming to your site. That's industry-wide data, not our own. So the highest level of technical maturity is then really just bobbing and weaving this evolving space. MCP server, Webflow supports LLMs.txt. Folks are like, oh, should that be top of my list? I'm like, totally not. It's future-proofing. There's zero evidence that the LLMs are using LLMs.txt. It's like robots.txt, but for them. And in fact, they're explicitly saying, we're not looking at this now. So it shouldn't be top of your list. It should be somewhere on your list, but not at the top. You've got other stuff to go after. Any questions on technical? There's so much on this one.
Bring that human element into, like you said, you got YouTube's useful for the human element. You mentioned bringing those videos into the website. Talk a little bit about
Sure thing.
how pragmatic, just how to one-on-one get that.
There's a question, the LLMs are valuing original human content more, like YouTube. How do you get that onto your site? The YouTube comment for me on the site was, if you are putting the video there, make it easy for them to crawl by putting a transcript. If you separately then say, hey, I want this original human content on my site, it is a great thing to do. Do embed that YouTube video. Just embed it in. Yeah. That's totally fine. And they, if they can, are not going to then go, again, crawl the video. So if you can take the transcript, not have it in the embed, but rather have that on your page itself, that's worth doing. Because what are they doing? So ideally, they aren't rendering JavaScript yet. The LLM crawlers, Gemini is almost certainly an exception because Google is, but like Bing doesn't, ChatGPT doesn't yet. And so they are looking, basically, you serve up the base HTML of the page, that's what they're reading. And so that YouTube transcript, if it's on YouTube, that's not there. And so if you can take it from YouTube, put it on your page, you're, again, serving it up to them on a silver platter, making it easier for them. Make sense?
How do you serve it up, though?
So you could literally put it as text on the page. You may say, you know what, that's not the human experience I want. I'm going to put it in a little collapsible thingy. Or you may say, I don't want it on the page at all. I'm going to stick it in the metadata for the page. You could do that too. All of them work. You had your hand up first, and then you raised, and then I'll go to the next section, please.
Yeah, quick question. Let's say you've done a good job with SEO and like you've got strangely good authority and LLMs are like putting you in like a really sweet spot. What are things that you should be aware of that could decimate that by accident? Are there any sort of technical things or content things that would disrupt this sort of loveliness that you've been gifted from the universe?
It's an awesome question, and clearly something's going right in your business. If you're crushing it on SEO, what could go wrong now in AEO land? A couple of things. If you only did 2 things to go from SEO and expand to AEO, well, first, don't stop your SEO. It would be to answer questions and add schema. If you only did 2. Now, if you don't have the fundamentals, like if you've got links broken on your site, if it's not easy for a crawler to navigate through your site, 7% of sites block LLMs today. Makes no sense at all. Unless you're a business that makes money off the content, you don't want to be crawled, but that's not 7% of the internet. So if you've got the fundamentals right, which almost certainly you do if you're crushing it on SEO, those would be the first 2 I would suggest going after. The other thing to keep in mind, which we'll cover in authority, is because the LLMs are crawling searching almost every query, the upside is we can have an impact tomorrow, right? Those 2-week numbers I was showing before, like in SEO, that never happens. It would take a long time to build that authority. Great. The dark side of that same thing is, I know this doesn't apply to anybody in this room, but if you have some out-of-date content on your site, or if somebody else has some out-of-date content about you, or you change your positioning, the old stuff's going to stick around and influence for longer than it would have in SEO. That's probably the other thing to keep in mind. Great question, and congrats on crushing it on SEO. Question?
Going back a step to the YouTube transcript, in SEO, duplicate content was bad, right? So what if you have the transcript on both YouTube and on your site? Which one wins, or is that bad to have it?
Great question. The question was, hey, in SEO, duplicate content was bad. If you have it both on YouTube and on your site, is that bad? I haven't seen, full transparency, I haven't seen data on that specifically. From everything I understand, having it on your site is a good thing because they're not going to see it on the YouTube side through that link because they're not rendering what's in that video. And so they are also looking for consensus. They want repetition, right? If you magically waved your wand and 10 other sites were like, you're in our top 10 list, and that was the same across all those, they'd be like, you must be top 10. Different than SEO. Another one, by the way, that's different than SEO, it's the same principle but different thing, is because old stuff being out of date is a problem. In SEO, if you're like, hey, I've got 10,000 pages on my site and I'm just not going to get to that 5,000 over there for a while, but I see some of that appearing in AEO results. In search, you'd be like, I'll take that down over my dead body. In AEO, taking it down for a bit, it's not crazy to ask the question, to explore the idea, because it can have a negative impact more than it did in SEO. And I'm curious too, for the duplicate content. Everything seems like it's okay, but literally copy paste everything probably isn't a good idea, but they're treating human generated content like that original content differently. So my guess is they'll view a transcript from YouTube differently. That's an educated guess, not data. All right, authority.
Human content is kind of a weird thing. It's like if you write in a structured, formal way, sometimes I'll write something raw and it'll say.
So let me put a finer point on it. It's a great question. You were saying, hey, human content is like, did AI help me write it? I should have been more precise in the language. They've publicly said they want genuine human reaction, not the marketing speak. So they're like, on social media, I get more genuine human reaction. That's why I think they liked Reddit so much. 68% of Redditors are not on LinkedIn. Like, it's a whole different population with different social norms, with different ways of being there. But I think that's why they went down that path. So yes, don't write with the LLM for that, but more, how can they pierce through the marketing speak and get people's reactions?
Voice to text, and just talk, and turn that into something. So will that be more human? Like
Yeah.
way of generating more human.
Yes.
Identification.
Totally. The question was, hey, if I do voice to text just to make it easier to get my thoughts out, is that human? Absolutely it is. 100% it is. They're looking for statistical patterns in what LLMs do, and the LLMs are now also thoughtfully fingerprinting in ways that we don't see. They do some things with spaces, and so they can tell. Yeah. I don't understand mathematically how they can tell the heavy AI versus a little bit of AI, because those statistical patterns, when they break, they're broken. And so I don't understand that part yet. Authority. Authority, okay, the backlinks still matter because search still matters. Don't stop investing in them. But as you mature, in some sense, talk about the stuff you have the right to talk about, which you're already probably doing if you're thinking about SEO a lot, right? Do eat, where you have the experience, the expertise, the authority, and the trust to talk about a particular topic. This is how to pick a popular example, HubSpot might get dinged for saying, here's how you grow in your career, but rewarded for talking about your CRM, right? That's something they've got eat on. Then PR is back. Having you or your other execs do that podcast, do that blog post, go on LinkedIn. That is more mentions, more times where the LLMs get to see you. Each one of those is like teaching your kid something, right? It's another repetition. Reddit, that we talked about a bunch, is a place where marketing speak goes to die. Like, you will get flamed there for doing normal marketing speak. And so people are like, oh, I must do this. They did those deals. I would humbly suggest, once you've picked the questions you care about, go run them in your favorite LLM or LLMs a bunch of times, and then go see who got cited. And if they're not cited, don't invest the time. If you do invest the time, tread really carefully. First, you should lurk thoughtfully. I don't mean stalker, I mean learn their social norms. Like, they are almost certainly unique to that specific subreddit. And then don't lie. And I'm sure you're being honest. By that, I mean, we're not very good in marketing at saying, yep, I screwed that up. No, I'm not really good at that. Oh, yep, that's better over there. But in Reddit, you need to say those things. And so if those aren't comfortable places to go, leave that medium alone, is my humble suggestion. Then the more other people are like, you know your stuff, I'm going to use you, reference you elsewhere. And finally, like, you think about like the report Salesforce puts out, like, we all use them in our own internal strategy. That's like true authority. Other people are mentioning you. But the biggest difference here is that it's the plain text mentions. And to give you an example, a very small one, our team simply added external stats to our own site. This one is also not statistically significant, but they were like 14% more LLM traffic, 8% more search traffic. Sure, great. We'll go sprinkle more stats. Another thing here to demonstrate EAT, everyone who's writing on your blog, put a bio. Show what they're good at. Show that they've got the right, I'm making that word up, to write about that particular topic because they have experience, expertise, authority, and trust on it. Make sense? Questions on authority? Last one is measurement, where, this concept just doesn't exist. It's not a bunch of keywords, you're in a paragraph. And so when we surveyed 400 marketers, we asked them, what are you measuring? And I'll go back to the other slide in a second. They said what, in my humble opinion, is the right thing to do. First, they started with their own existing analytics and were like, hey, how much traffic are the LLMs sending me? For everyone, it was very small and growing. Then, how's it converting? And for everybody, it was hugely better. And then you go buy the third-party tool, the new tool that's now the equivalent of what you were paying for in SEO land. By the way, those tools are also expanding into this, that are measuring, did you show up? So just like you gave your SEO tool a basket of keywords, now you're going to give this tool a basket of questions, and it's going to go run the queries over and over again. It'll run even more than your SEO tool does because it keeps changing every time you run it. And here are a bunch of tools that do that. No endorsement or not. This is Andreessen's list. And then once you've done that, you want to say, once I see, did I show up? Then what was my share of voice relative to my competitors? Was it accurate? Was my message pulled through? And ultimately, then this helps inform your actions. Make sense? Any questions on this one? Okay. So again, I invite you to think about content, technical, authority, and measurement. For Webflow, this has worked really well. We are part of 60% of the answers we care about. We have less than 2% market share. We are number 2. We're behind number 1, which has 60% market share. And that has a positive impact on the business. It absolutely does. We made up then 5 different levels of maturity on each of these. We then laid this out into a whole maturity model that we hope is helpful in guiding yourself, guiding your teams on, hey, what should I do next? And if this seems like it could be helpful, I invite you to go to a place where there is zero pitch. Webflow.com/AEO. This will take you there. What you'll see is that pretty chart. You'll also see a place for you to enter your email and your domain name. We'll run 1,700 line prompt across a dozen agents to go look at your site, off your site, and run it against that rubric we just looked at on the previous site. It's LLMs, it's not perfect. Sometimes it's like, you should add an FAQ. You're like, I have an FAQ. So it's not perfect, but it's a big step forward to be like, here's what we see. Here are the gaps to the next level. Here's what we suggest you prioritize next. Okay, now you got all this traffic. We hope it's useful. You got all this traffic. Now you got to convert it. Now you want people to take an action you want them to take. And what happens when we get that hard-earned traffic? For most of us, on average, we fail 95 to 98% of the time. Most websites' conversion rates are really low, and I think mostly it's because folks do this. They do an excellent job personalizing, targeting, spending their ad dollars. And then somebody gets to your website and you're like, hi, can I help you? You just like forget all of it. And so I invite you to think about improving the experience for folks, for everyone, at different levels of granularity. And folks don't normally talk about it this way. But you can improve it for everybody using A/B testing. You can improve it for a segment by defining a segment and personalizing for it. You can go narrower and do ABM if you're in B2B, or you can personalize literally down to the individual using AI optimization. And as you do conversion rate optimization, we could talk more about this. I think I'm running way long, so I'll just speed through this. But each of these, you can then go test and run through the scientific process, right? You have a hypothesis built on data, you go try it, you test it, you analyze it, and you want that going quickly because most tests fail. If you haven't done CRO, fine, you'll be a hero for a while, but if you have, most tests won't beat the default, and you then want to be able to analyze the results well. After the facts, you can gain more insights. We can help on all of those areas of AEO. And now we'll turn to questions or fireside chat. Thank you for the dialogue and the back and forth. Really enjoyed and looking forward to diving in more now. I'm gonna squeeze behind you, Ted.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Guy. Oh, look at this, even help with the chairs. So we're going to continue the conversation on. I appreciated opening up the questions and answers. He won't do it, so I will. Quick little plug for Webflow that I think is very interesting on not only the platform, but as a business, and something that we've started to align with is, a lot of people are talking about the trends that are happening with AEO and AI and SEO. I don't know if you noticed, but in a combination of industry stats, a lot of that were things that they have learned by doing a lot of these things themselves with their platform. At Clique, we do the same thing. Before we bring something to market, before we work with clients, we are testing those things ourselves so that we can believe in them. And so, we recently took our website that was on name we shall not name, old platform that is currently 6% of the market share, and we said we got to do stuff different, right? First thing we did, we just migrated it. And Sujana, what was that, like a month? Where is she? Yeah, about a month. We had all sorts of new toys to play with, and how many developers did we use on that? We had zero developers to move into this platform. And so I think it's very telling when an organization presents facts and information that's not only based on market research, but their own experience and what they've done.
And it's on the news. I mean, your stuff is excellent.
Hey, we're on the news. So cool. For this group, it is still before 5. We're still at a work event where we can have some fun. So Guy and I are going to continue the conversation. We're going to make this interactive. So thank you for the questions you've been asking so far, and I'll make sure to have some other prompts. If anyone wants to get a quick drink, we're going to move right into this. And then we'll have some networking and mingling afterwards as well.
Cool.
Did you get a drink? I want to make sure.
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, the other thing I've done for 25 years is drink 10 to 20 of these every day.
I said the joke earlier with Chris Farley and the Matt Foley. He's like, we got him downstairs. He's been drinking coffee for 8 hours. But Guy, first of all, thank you for your insights. Thank you for sharing this with our Chicago community.
Thanks for having me. Thanks everybody for taking the time on a freezing day.
Yeah, well, we're used to it over here, so to speak. So to just kind of continue the conversation, I think one of the things, and Guy talked about this as well, and I think is an important piece, as we're looking at AEO and AI and marketing, we got to get out there, right? It's kind of, there's some lions and tigers and bears to the situation, right? In terms of the technologies we're dealing with and all the different strategies. And Guy highlighted it himself in his presentation and also showed us the stat. I think it was 69% of human-generated content. At the end of the day, we're still trying to connect with humans, right? Facts and figures are going to get attention. Human emotion is what drives decision. And we can't lose that. And it's important to remember that humans still read. My mantra maybe 5 years ago in every sales conversation, what this isn't, which is people scroll, right? Now we're talking about scroll fatigue, right? The same thing is true here. And right now the mantra that I believe to be true and the stat is showing it is at the end of the day, we're connected with humans. They still read. The opportunity is that machines read faster. And if we think about how we can boil down all those things in terms of AEO and marketing, and how we leverage AI to get in front of it, is 2 realizations. One, what are people reading? How are they getting to it? And if something's reading fast, how do we make it easier? And so if you take a look at the things such as Schema, answering questions, that's really all he's talking about, is how do we feed the new machine that's on the market, our new target audience is a bot, right? We're no longer filtering out all bot traffic, others are missing out on it. We got to cater to them. But back to the human piece. I have a way to land this plane. For those of you, I think I said a little bit at the beginning, but Guy has an incredible background. He's been in this industry for 20 years. At the end of the day, it's human. And what I think is very interesting, especially what Webflow is doing, is optimize is like, we're all now just talking about CRO and these types of things. IntelliMize was started, what, 2016?
Yep.
Okay, so I would love to know a little bit about the journey from someone who had the foresight that this was going to be important in 2016 kind of how you got there, and for the VC and M&A folks that may or may not be in the room, what that whole kind of process looked like.
It was grounded in the same thing. Webflow had the insight to say, hey, we want to buy this, and that's customers. And what were customers asking for and doing? For me, I had the privilege of being running marketing at a programmatic advertising company. Had a 9-figure budget. It was programmatic ads. Shame on us if we weren't optimizing the pieces out of that. Sorry, I said 9-figure. It's 8-figure. 8-figure budget. And we optimized it superbly. Again, shame on us if we didn't. Then everybody came to our website and we treated them all the same. So at the time, I asked the team to go implement Optimizely 3 separate times. They never did. They were like, there's not enough juice to squeeze here. And I just fundamentally didn't believe that was true. And the things we did at Intellimise, now Webflow Optimize, were similar logically, not in the ML, to what you do in programmatic ads. You take a bunch of creative, you show different combinations to different people, you show the good stuff more, the bad stuff less, and you optimize for a goal the marketer cared about. No one had done that on a website. So we went and talked to more than 100 marketers before we left our secure, high-paying jobs, my 2 co-founders and I, and then built that. That happened to do quite well. And then Webflow said, hey, the number one ask from our customers is build brand, now help me drive revenue. And so they went and looked and reached out, and we weren't looking to sell. So we were like, great, we're going to be an arms dealer. We're going to go do a deal with you and WordPress and Adobe and everybody else. And then I saw their standard for user experience and their standard for integration. And I was like, yeah, this just won't work without M&A. This isn't like what we're all used to of like a Band-Aid. And so we went and did our due diligence, got a bunch of offers, and this was the right one. And so hopefully for those that are using it, whether you're on Webflow or off Webflow for your website, the experience for the Webflow sites is truly integrated, not the normal Band-Aids we're hearing about, and we'll offer it for off Webflow forever. Is that where you wanted to go?
Yeah, that's awesome. And this sounds rehearsed. It's not, but that's a wonderful transition. So, as we take a look, I'll start off. Who learned something today about a space that you've probably already been spending time about? I literally gave a speech on this to a room of bankers on AI and marketing, and I kind of wish I had some of his slides and knowledge for that. I think it's just amazing to see what those actual statistics are. One of the challenges that I've had in AI, and as we've had it in terms of adopting for clients, is what decision do you make, right? In 2025 had a lot of pauses. Let's wait and see who's the leader. I couldn't count how many logos there were on different technologies that are out there kind of doing this type of stuff, and where do we land? And so I'll preface this by saying, right off the gates, Optimize is a tool that can be used on any website. It works best with Webflow because it's been time to integrate it, but it is something that can be used. And it gets me to a place of, how do I start? What do I do? I just learned a bunch of things that I should be doing, and a bunch of kind of watch out, don't go on Reddit and say, hey, buy from me, I'm marketing, buy from me. But in terms of some of the people getting started with this, what are maybe some good first steps, and maybe some things you've seen people do that maybe they shouldn't, to get into leveraging AEO and AI tools for personalization?
On the latter, I would think about, like, why does your website exist? Why do you spend the money on it to begin with? Really take a step back and think, okay, well, therefore, this is the action or actions I want someone to take. And then think to yourself, what's their journey through? And you're probably going to say, oh, well, I need to get a whole bunch of analytics, and wait, Google doesn't do this well. It looks like forget all that. You know what you want them to do. You know where they are probably going through your site. Go find a step in that journey that's high traffic, high drop off. That's the place to go invest your time and energy. I can't tell you how many customers we had in early days of Intellimise who got case study level results, but then we're like, well, that didn't impact the top line, so we're not going to keep doing this. So that's a mistake I see often early on. In AEO, it is like SEO. SEO was a game to go game Google and see, hey, where did they not plug holes? Happily, I think, for trying to do the good things, the holes are getting plugged really rapidly in LLMs. And so I really would suggest go think deeply about what questions your prospects are asking through the funnel. That is the foundation, just like keywords were the foundation before. And go then think, what are the ones where our sales process is tripping up, whether it's right at the beginning attracting people or partway through the funnel and people are falling down and I wish they would find out about it, then go try to create some content for that, one, and two, go try adding some structure to your site and see if, I must admit I was really surprised that 6-page schema FAQ thing, and that's not a unique story. So questions and
question.
metadata. Yeah.
More of a Webflow product question, but I'm wondering, with the rise of generative vibe coding, like Lovable, that sort of thing, are there plans within Webflow to do simple like language to generation?
He can't wait to answer this question.
I think the site is on Webflow, and it's like love that.
We're grateful for the partnership. And the question was, hey, with vibe coding tools like Lovable and others, is there a thought to go from text to website? So yes, and today you can AI site gen a site. So you can talk and be guided through a process. And the guidance part is being opinionated on things that you just wouldn't want to get wrong. Like you don't want your nav bar in the middle of the page kind of thing. I'm not saying Lovable would do that, but so you can do that today. You can use, we put a bunch of AI throughout the product tuned to the problem at hand, the task at hand, and aware of your context to auto-generate schema, auto-generate alt text, SEO, the metadata we were talking about before, auto-generate alt text for your images, auto-generate SEO metadata, auto-generate your sitemap XML, write copy, translate, and more. So we think that's how to activate it. And then in terms of vibe coding even further, we launched Webflow Cloud, so you can do a full stack app. We now have vibe coding there, where you can literally have what feels like an LLM experience to say, I wish I had an app that scheduled calendars, or I want to do a voting thing on this. And you will watch it code in front of you. And with humility, unlike the other products, this is prompt to production, not prompt to like prototype. I know this many people who've used some of those other tools to put something that's then going to be used at scale. And we very intentionally are optimizing so that when you do something, you can use it in the real world, in a hardened way, on brand, in production today. Awesome.
Yes, another question.
We are headed toward a time of extreme personalization, probably. You are doing a query from a government IP address, you'll get one site. You are at home, you'll get another site. You are an LLM, you'll get another site. You are drunk and ordering a pizza, you will get yet another site. How does a CMS handle these various situations?
Excellent question. The question was, we're headed towards a period of extreme personalization. You're in all these different places physically or different modes, and you'll get different responses. Partly, we've been heading there for a long time. In our getting people to the website stuff, paid media, emails, and so on, we've had that in spades for a long time. In search, Google has been giving you and me different results for a long, long time, and they have diverged over time. Unlike LLMs, they stayed constant when you did it 2 minutes later, as you know. So then the question is, how does the CMS handle that? It does that by making it easy for the LLM to find the right match. To use your example before, if the right answer when you're drunk and ordering a pizza is your site, we want to have the LLMs know, hey, there should be correlation there. Maybe there's also correlation to, again, to use your example, you're in a government office and searching for something. I'm thinking what site would have that overlap, but let's say you're the right answer there too. The best thing the CMS can do is to help you serve it up on a silver platter to the LLMs. You want them to have as much possibility as possible to find similarity between what you do, what you want to be talking about, the conversations you want to be in, and what people are asking about. And so in some sense, it's less the like, oh gosh, this extreme personalization makes it impossible to choose the target. So that is true, but it is also true that actually I'm more likely to get people that genuinely are a fit for what I'm doing. So I need to be more transparent and make it clear what I'm doing.
So stick to your personas and
Stick to your personas, yes, and yes. So actually, to your point, bless you, like you mentioned, we're writing for humans.
Yes.
Ultimately, through the LLMs, you're still writing for humans, one, and two, the core job hasn't changed. We're trying to persuade humans to come consider us and then buy our stuff. Like all of these are mechanics to get there. I think it is very popular to be like, the whole world has changed. AEO's changed all of it. In some sense it did. Here we try to quantify and put our arms around, right? I'm pointing to the framework that was on the slide before, how to manage that. But they didn't change that we're trying to persuade humans to buy our stuff. So I think you stick into the personas and so on is true north.
Yeah, and Guy, if I can add to that and also tie
Please.
to the conversation about SEO is not dead. AEO is a layer, and we get down to the core. I always think about process, right? Because as a marketer or a business owner, I'm in my ways, and I'm used to testing things, getting better. This worked, this didn't. I'm going to go down this path, down this path, down this path. And when new tools get introduced to an organization or new trends start appearing, you get kind of this moment of anxiety. Do I got to shift everything I'm doing and look at this different, right? So Guy gave some exceptional examples of how AEO is not change everything. It's here's some more things to consider, some more ways to look about it. Personalization is a lot of the same thing. And admittedly, you just said that, is we've been doing it for a long time, right? And right now, a lot of you are spending time doing personas, right? Doing target audience interviews. You're creating landing pages specific to specific markets. You're using GTM to track from the specific ads that you're doing, different platforms, what's performing better, A/B testing. You've been doing all of these things. And please continue to do those things. Where personalization is really starting to change the game, particularly with AI, because that in fact is personalization, right? Where AI is changing it is it's making it real time. And so platforms optimized being the one that we are spending a lot of time with learning on our own site is imagine you identify all those different, the person from the government office, the person ordering pizza drunk, I love that one, probably more true than we think. And we all know the internet knows who we are, right? Thanks to GDPR, we're legally required to know that the internet knows who we are. And what AI is able to do is take that information, not just serve up a landing page designed for someone sitting at a government desk asking a particular question in a particular way, but now the tool knows your cookies, where you came from, what your interests are. And what's really interesting with these tools, and we're doing this right now with the Clique site, is we're running an A/B test with 2 different messages, and we've got a handful of other messages that are things that are approved that we want to say. AI is not replacing the content. But as an A/B test is running, instead of just picking a winner, which could totally ostracize when Jeff comes to my site looking for information, and Jeff might be really interested in a certain thing based on who he is, and an A/B test might fail him because he's not part of the general public. Now by snapping these tools into place, he's going to continue to see the message that makes sense to him while we're continuing to get that overarching data for our traffic is. Now you can look at those things as individuals, but also overarching traffic makes a lot of sense because that's who you're attracting to your website. So just to go into there, it's about adding to your workflow and working into the things that you're doing to enhance what you're doing rather than having to replace everything and throw it out the window. So great question.
Fully aligned.
Any other questions from the audience? Otherwise, I have one more for Guy.
Question.
I'm
Jeff, the man of the hour. Sorry to call you out there.
I'm the pizza ordering
Yeah.
Do you think this process is faster than it was? We talk about that.
Yeah.
And obviously tools are going up and there's a perception everything is faster and easier. Is it kind of just adding more work on top of it? I mean, the earlier stages are faster, but to really convert and send the right message, again, there's kind of a myth and a reality. Is it actually faster, quicker, easier, or is it just you have to take more swings? Kind of
in the evolution of
and building the funnel, conversions, a brand that resonates with your audience, all the stuff we've been talking about. Is that, in your opinion, should that be easier as a brand to do, or is it just you have a lot more layers to think about?
the frustrating answer, I think, is both, in the sense that this isn't actually taking traffic away from Google overall. Like their click delivery from search side is relatively flat over the years. This is now yet another channel, just like podcasts were, but I don't think this one's going to go up and down the way podcast did. I think this one will go up and up because it's so useful. So on the one hand, you've got this other channel. On the other hand, if we had our magic wand, the right message from us, to Ted's point a minute ago, would be personalized and shown to the right person at the right time, and that would move them through the funnel faster because it is useful to them in that moment. The LLMs, it seems, demonstrably and in theory, are going to be better at that. It is a better approach at doing that. And so when somebody wants to run quickly through the funnel because it's the right time for them, are we then more likely to be in front of them? Yeah, very, very possibly. It does. So that's the faster side. The slower side again is, but to find exactly that match, now the need for more and more specific content rises. So it's both. What would you say, Ted?
Yeah, I say it's good news for us as marketers and humans, right? So
Totally.
I sound like I'm beating a drum, and I am, that emotion is driving the decisions. We had $1 million in our pocket. We're walking into the store. What's a better deal, a Ferrari or a Hyundai? Probably a Hyundai, right? But if we're excited something, people want to feel like they made the decision. I'll tell you a very quick story, and I don't think they're here, so I'm not exposing anything. I was on a sales call the other day for someone out in Sacramento, California, and working it, crushing it, right? Or I feel good about it. And at some point, AI comes up. So we start a little discussion. He says, by the way, that's how I found you. I go, really? He goes, oh yeah, I typed in everything that I'm looking for, firms of this size, dollar amounts of this, that, and the other. And you came up in that. So I'll send you the query. And I was like, somebody's going to let me behind that door? I get to see what this is. And I thought he was going to send me the query. He sent me the whole conversation, which I think means it's searchable now. Isn't that a thing? But anyway, and I got this thing, and not only did it have us in there, it had 5 different brands, and it named us as #1 for reasons that I would have never thought. So this isn't a flex on us being one. In fact, some of the reasons, like, well, that's not us, but I'll take it. Yet, I still had to write a proposal. I still had to have a conversation. I still don't have a yes or a no. Part of that is how humans are interacting. It's also how people are adopting AI. So far, back before I was in the business world, no one got hired for firing IBM. I don't know if anyone said it. I think that's migrated to no one gets fired for hiring Salesforce. And I don't think we're quite yet at no one gets fired for saying what ChatGPT told them to do.
Oh, they'll totally get fired.
So with that in mind, it's speed and repetitions and things like that, speed to information, speed to closing. We'll see.
Thanks.
Cool. All right, I just got the 5-minute warning. So I will leave with this. Guy, incredible speaker. I've seen you on stages, watch podcasts, all that kind of stuff. Always enjoy it. And one of the things I really like is you're not just presenting fact and figures and content. Often you share some opinions, and you always footnote it before you do. 2025, what I noticed, both as a marketer myself in marketing our brand, and also someone who sells and connects with other people that need technology, design, etc. So a lot of hesitation. And a lot of it was people trying to navigate what's going on. Where do I place my bets? What do I do? Literally had someone say, well, I like your price, I like this, but if I just wait, is the AI going to do this for me? That's interesting. Like you said, wait. That's rule number 1. No. But 2026, do you predict that we're going to see more kind of confusion in this space? People, bastardizing how to use LinkedIn, people jumping into Reddit, people trying this, or are we going to see a maturity model start to form on what's working, what's not, and people using tools responsibly?
I think all the above. I don't know about you, but I feel like some of the stuff I see on LinkedIn now, even from people I know and trust, I'm like, really? Like that's so clearly an LLM created that. And there's some horrible examples, but these are just like you can tell a little bit. On maturity model, in the conversations I've had, it has seemed like one way to think about it is made up half a dozen levels. First, hey, you can't touch this. It's going to reveal our private company information. So legal and privacy get involved, and then you get some approval. So then you get to like, all right, we're going to experiment. Everybody go try. And you get some experimentation, and then you're like, well, okay, now we've done enough of that. Make sure that's pointed at a business goal. Make sure that's focused experimentation. And from there, I tend to see people start automating things to be able to go faster. Then they automate those same things, but like at a superhuman level, like that LLM assessment. I couldn't have created that on my own in a month or two a few years ago. Okay, that was great. Now I'm going to go run that on 10,000 sites and go say, hey, here's the state of AEO maturity. Like that never would have been possible before. Okay, and then the highest level is just changing how we work. And I think a lot of people are headlining about this, but I think there's a lot of maturity between here and there. The one other thing I'll share is I feel like a lot of people are headlining on, oh, jobs are all going away. I haven't talked to a single CMO who said entire functions are going away. I've talked to many who say, I'm asking the team, why can't AI help you do this extra thing before hiring? And I almost haven't talked to any who've been like, I've proactively shrunk because of AI. That's been like the extremely rare exception.
Has anyone sworn at ChatGPT because you don't like the answer? Come on, give me a break. My word is drivel. It's starting to learn that. This is drivel.
Are you being very kind and generous to ChatGPT saying thank you and you're welcome so that when our future AI overlords are looking back at what you wrote?
It's paying it forward. It's generous to me, right? Yeah. I think, well, Ted, that's just the question you should be asking right now. How insightful. That's exactly what you should think. Bullet. Yeah. It's starting to talk like me. That's the problem. And I share an account with somebody too, so now it's like we're both sounding the same, just to have fun with it. But awesome. Guy, it's been an incredible afternoon. I appreciate you flying out. I do have one more thing. So I know you traveled, right?
Oh no.
And the wouldn't have made a difference. At the time we originally booked this, the Bulls were ahead of on the top of the division. A little bit different today, but we still have Michael Jordan, so that never changed. If you don't know who Michael Jordan is, talk to Chris. He's got the shoes.
I love that, and I grew up in the day when he was doing his thing.
So
way.
We, as a visit to Chicago, want to present you with
super cool.
Formal, legit, bought from the stadium jersey.
Legit.
We weren't sure what name or number to put back on it.
Oh my God, that is so cool.
Superstars only,
Thank
number
you.
23. Thanks so much for the time.
That is
Thanks for coming to Chicago.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.